Picture this. You're standing inside a packed, literally pulsing stadium down in Los Angeles. The atmosphere, it's completely electric, but thick, like unbearably thick with tension. It's the 2026 FIFA World Cup. We're deep into the round of 32, and the co-hosts, Canada, are locked in this grueling, scoreless battle with South Africa. So welcome to this explainer, where we're going to break down what is arguably one of the most monumental moments in Canadian sports history. Time is just evaporating. The clock has ticked past the 90-minute mark, and we are now in the second minute of second-half stoppage time. The score? Still a stubborn 0-0. You can just feel the immense pressure on the pitch. Okay, let's dive into this. What exactly happens in the 92nd minute? Right at this completely breathless moment, a ball finds its way to the edge of South Africa's penalty box, dropping right toward a 29-year-old midfielder named Steven Eustachio, and he just calmly chests it down. And man, what happens next is instantly etched into history. Eustachio absolutely hammered the right-footed shot. It goes swinging perfectly into the bottom of the net, right past diving South African goalkeeper Ronwen Williams. Sportsnet actually captured it perfectly on the broadcast, screaming, "What a moment for Steven Eustachio! What a moment for Canada!" And honestly, the magnitude of this strike really can't be overstated. When the final whistle sounded just minutes later, Canada had secured a 1-0 victory, but more importantly, they secured their very first ever win in the knockout round of the men's tournament. To really grasp the sheer scale of this movie-like scene, consider the crowd in Inglewood, California that day. An announced 69,237 fans. Thousands upon thousands of them were Canadians draped in red, waving flags, and they absolutely erupted as that ball hit the back of the net. It was like this massive collective release of national sporting anxiety all at once. And you know, the emotional weight of this victory was heavy on the players too. Teammate Liam Miller actually said his mind went completely blank in the moment. He called it exactly what dreams are made of for a kid watching the World Cup at home in Canada. So this is your key takeaway right here. This wasn't just a win. No, this was a monumental shift that literally changes the perspective of a country's sporting culture forever. Moving on to Section 1, the man behind the goal. Profiling Steven Eustachio. Let's move to and see how this builds. To fully appreciate that historic goal, we really need to understand his unique path. Steven Eustachio's journey to this World Cup hero moment is super fascinating. He was actually born in Canada to Portuguese parents, and his soccer journey has really been defined by navigating that dual heritage. Throughout his youth and senior career, he essentially flip-flopped between his home country and his parents' country. And doing that, he developed his unique style of play by blending the footballing cultures of both nations. His club journey really reflects the steady climb straight to the top. Back in January 2022, he made his way into Portugal's Premier Liga on a loan to Porto, which is a massive European club, by the way. And they officially bought him just a few months later in May. Now, jump to the summer of 2026, and he's a pivotal midfielder for Los Angeles FC, which is crazy because he's playing this crucial World Cup match right in the city where his club is actually based. But despite that totally Hollywood ending and his high-profile club status, Eustachio remained incredibly humble. Right after the match, he totally downplayed his own role, saying he felt that everybody on the team shot that ball with him. And his teammates absolutely revere him for this. Striker Tani Oluwaseyi called him the heartbeat of the team, pointing out his immense leadership both on and off the field. I mean, Eustachio serves as the vice-captain for the Canadian squad, and his work rate is pretty much legendary among his peers. All right, Section 2, breaking down the match. A 10th battle in Inglewood. Now, what's really interesting about this is that before that 92nd minute magic, there were 91 grueling minutes of football. Going into the game, the contrast was actually pretty stark. On paper, Canada was sitting at number 30 in the FIFA rankings, exactly 30 spots ahead of South Africa at number 60, so you might expect an easy ride for the higher-ranked co-hosts, right? Well, World Cup knockout football is rarely simple. These two sides were locked in a fierce midfield battle right from the opening whistle. Neither team gained much traction early on, and South Africa actually struck first with some dangerous chances. In the 6th minute, Canadian goalkeeper Maxime Crepeau has to make this massive diving stop against Teboho Mokoena. Then by the 22nd minute, Canada pushes back. Eustachio sets up Derek Cornelius for a header, but it's saved. 35th minute rolls around, and Tani Oluwaseyi comes within inches of opening the scoring, only for South African keeper Ronwen Williams to block. Canada's head coach, Jesse Marsh, later pointed out they could have made life way easier on themselves if they'd just capitalized on those big early chances. As the game progressed, the drama definitely skyrocketed. Right before halftime, a wild scramble off a Canadian corner saw a ball booted right off the South African goal line. And then, just a minute later, absolute controversy erupts. Canada's Richie Laryea gets hauled down inside the penalty area, and there is no call. The referee's decision drew serious ire. Teammates literally had to physically hold Coach Marsh and striker Jonathan David back at the halftime whistle. The tension just kept boiling all the way to the 85th minute when Croppo had to dive desperately to stop this long-range rocket from South Africa's Osman Apollos. Which brings us to Section 3, the road to history, Canada's group stage journey. Canada didn't just parachute into this high-stakes matchup. And this brilliantly illustrates the steady, historic climb they made just to get here. First, they secured their first ever World Cup point with a hard-fought 1-1 draw against Bosnia-Herzegovina. Next, they completely unleashed on Qatar with a 6-0 drubbing, marking their very first tournament win. Ultimately, even though they dropped their group stage finale 2-1 against Switzerland, the points they had already accumulated pushed them through to the knockout run for the first time ever. Moving into Section 4, what happens next? The next challenge awaits. So, celebrations on the pitch have wrapped up. What actually lies ahead for this squad? Well, one massive positive going forward is the return of their captain, Alphonso Davies. The Bayern Munich standout finally made his tournament debut, subbing in at the 75th minute against South Africa. He had been sidelined since picking up a hamstring injury in a Champions League semi-final back in early May. So having Davies back on the pitch, even if it was just for 15 minutes to close out the game and celebrate, provides an absolutely immeasurable morale boost for the team. And they are going to need all the morale they can muster because look at who is waiting for them next. Defender Alistair Johnston summed it up perfectly. Canada is advancing to the round of 16 in Houston on July 4th, where they're going to face the winner of the Netherlands and Morocco matchup. So, the crucial point is, as Johnston notes, they are stepping into the ring with one of the absolute best teams in the world now. That's something that is just unbelievable. Which brings us to a final looming question. We've seen their resilience. We've seen Steven Eustachio's moment of pure magic. And we know this team views themselves as brothers fighting for one another. But are they really ready to step up another level and slay the world's absolute elite in the round of 16? Eustachio said he was over the moon about the win, but he immediately issued a warning. The job's not finished. We'll just have to see if Canada has another Hollywood ending left in them. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep your eyes on the pitch, and we'll see you next time.